Hello everyone. We are live. Welcome to another Memgraph community call. This time around, I don't need to introduce our speaker because he has been with us kind of already. So a couple of weeks back, Vishal from Quark Labs has done basically the community call. And basically shared how to kind of build the knowledge graphs on top of the various financial documents. This time around, again, we're doing something very hands-on. So instead of kind of talking about financial statements, we'll be going through the real world public company filings, so S1 documents and various others, where he will be showing us how to build a knowledge graph and then basically extract and dive into intelligence kind of it. So without me basically teasing it kind of even further, I am handing the floor to Vishal. Vishal, take it from here, please.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. It's great to meet you. First of all, really, really excited to be back on this community call. My intent is to show how Quark Labs can work great with the Memgraph infrastructure and Memgraph you have. One of the things which I showed last time, and I'm happy to talk through that too if there are any questions, is the graph itself is very powerful when it comes to creating an agent and across multiple use cases. And use cases could be knowing your customer. Use case could be about the auditing onto any information. How do you actually go get the information when the information is across multiple documents? While Graph is really powerful, and then we have been using Memgraph internally in our product too, and then we are a huge champion, and we love how Memgraph can scale pretty well for us. The challenge which we have seen also as we talk to our customer, how do you get your data, which can be in the most messiest form as possible? That could be PDF, CSV, could be even CAD drawings or different information, and get the information into your graph so you can actually have more agentic flow on that. And not just that in graph, but how do you continue to update that information as your data on the source itself is changing. And that's what Quark Labs do. What we do, we are a data platform where we can connect to almost all the sources and all the formats of your data set, which can be PDF, which can be CSV, which can be Word. You think a format, which can be table, JSON. You think a format, and we actually take the data and structure it for the use cases, including putting the data into the graph too. Then the last call, we talked about how we can actually take the data and create know your customers, because your customer information can be spread across multiple documents. And in order to actually get 360 view of your customer, you have to pull those information out and get the information in the graph and then ask the full 360 view questions for that customer. Now, today, very similar pipeline we're going to build with the Quark Labs, but the questions will be very much different on the auditing. And what I have done on the auditing side is that I've actually picked some the S1 information and the IPOs information for a company, and I'm using a Reddit for that. So I've actually picked all the Reddit information from online, and I'm actually going to show how the data can easily be ingested, but also high level, I'm also touch upon what Quark Labs can do and how can people help use Quark Labs in their day-to-day. My co-founder, Alex, is also on the call, so feel free to ask any questions. He will jump in and respond while I'm actually going through the webinar. And we would like to hear from you what are the challenges you're facing when it comes to the unstructured data set, and also how you're actually thinking about taking those data sets into Memgraph or other Memgraph database itself. Share my screen. I hope you all can see my screen. I want to move myself so I can focus on the screen. So this is Quark Labs. The one of the great piece of the Quark Labs that you can connect through any of the files coming from. Whether it's your data lives in SharePoint, Snowflake, data lives into local drive, Google Drive, S3 or blob storage. You can quickly connect your data set, and you don't have to manually define. I want to pull one information, two information, but you can actually pull the information across all the files. One of the real challenge when it comes to the data itself living into all different places is that you don't even know what information exists into what files. And most of the time when creating a graph structure or structuring the data set, most people spend a lot more time even just finding where my files or data is. With Quark Labs, you don't have to worry about it. You can connect to the source of any set of data sets, and you don't really have to care about what information exists where. Because by the time when we actually pull the information out, we also do search and discovery, and I'll automatically figure out and create the schema based on that in data or file, then actually creating, and then you actually figuring out the information files first, and then creating the information on that file itself. So as I last time we did the webinar, I'm going to go to the Reddit side of it. What I did though, like I actually pulled three different files on the Reddit, the as their financial results, the S1 and the quarter, and that actually gives you information into like if you want to ask questions, what the info will look like. These files contains the structure like a tables and the risk factors and everything. You can easily see that all the data gets into Markdown. But getting the data in the Markdown is not a big thing. You can actually, I think there are multiple models in the organization where you can actually get data in Markdown. In fact, the challenge happens when you're trying to actually extract the information at scale. So think about you have 100 files, and every file comes with different structure. And when you want to pull the right information from every file, then you end up creating multiple extraction flows instead of one flows. With us, you don't have to worry about that. You just give it access and you tell it what information you're looking for, and it will automatically structure the information as you can see on your sheet. Now, this information, when it comes here, it goes automatically in the Memgraph. So the way we define it by using the classifier and the extraction, and we also allow you to define the schema within the graph itself. So you can quickly actually take our schema and define what schema you're looking for. You can even actually generate the schema from using the AI tools itself. So if the schema is not defined, then we actually pick the right schema across the different files. We'll actually figure out which is the right entities and right classification for those files are, and we'll connect the information across those files itself. As you can see, I've done as the data coming from these information. You can see I've actually connected all the information where what is the capital, who actually underwrites it, who's a related party, and all those information are coming from the data and the files, which you can see, and then the graph gets automatically created over time. And that's the value you provide, because we don't sometimes when you're creating a graph on one file, two files makes sense, but when it grows across like hundreds of files, you need to come up with a structure. But our structure goes in the classifier and the anchor side of which is entity extraction, and we use those pieces to create the right graph for the use cases you're solving. Now, as I see, this is one file. I'm going to go to show the another one too quickly here. And if I go to an S1, you can see, look at the S1 information too. The file has been actually who has underwritten and whatnot. What I have done, you can also ask the question on your data set, which is like, does the Q1 context came from it? So yes, so this is actually information coming directly from the graph itself. So when you ask a question, what we do, now you can easily ask a question on the files which were created and uploaded to the graph. And then all the questions around auditing that financial records and what information is done can quickly now be done. Then you actually going to all the PDF and all the information which was into the file. So the question, Steve, is that where the data is being sourced for. So data is actually being sourced right now. What I do, and I'm glad you asked, it can be sourced from any API URL. But the way we advise our customers, let me go back to our front screen. You see that the data is actually what I've done. I uploaded the data in S3. So we can actually connect directly to S3. And every time a new file comes in S3, it will dynamically pull that file and create the information in the graph itself. So you don't have to manage the information. If you have a source where data is being dumped into object storage, we will automatically source the data and pull the information and create the right schema for you. And that schema can actually go into the graph. I'm gonna ask one or two more questions, but as I said, like sometimes the things are super easy, and then that's why like we on the right side. So these are the question I wrote it down. So you can see that the information comes from who write it. We also show the source into where the information is coming from. And all these are happening because of Memgraph. So what we do is like we actually automatically create your pipeline and structure your pipeline. And the data can actually go into Memgraph or Snowflake or any other data warehouse. But for the context on your data, for the auditing use case, we believe the Memgraph is the right thing to use. And data can automatically go into the Memgraph. We also actually have the context on your data and a graph rag built on top of Memgraph, so we can also show the value. Plus, we are also working with a customer where the data needs to be structured, for example, list in a data warehouse or data lake, and then we actually get to put the data in there too. And as soon as if you want to change the schema or if the source itself changes, you don't have to rebuild the pipeline again. We'll take care of you the pipeline and automatically build the pipeline. And that's what we're doing. We're completely adapting data pipeline, which can put the data into the Memgraph for the contextual use case, or put the data into your system where you can continue to find more information across the data as data itself is changing or as the data itself is coming up. I want to make sure there's no questions. No. I hope my API is running. So there's a crux that what did the net loss grow from when the revenue grow from here? So you can see that revenue growth from has net widened from this place to this place, on average increase. And again, I don't know much about this one, but that's where the information come from. And we also say this information came from two different places. So I'm gonna look back to my screen and see if there are any questions. Give me 1 second. There are no more questions. But the other piece which we are talking about is that think about, and then one thing which is sometimes your extraction needs are also changing, but your schema and your source is also constantly changing. Then what happens when your schema changes? Then you have to figure out how do I actually extract the data? Your format changes, then you have to figure out how do I actually get the information right into my warehouse or graph. All those challenges around building and maintaining the pipeline at scale disappears with the Quark Labs because we are completely, as I say, adaptive data pipeline, which can maintain with different schemas, different file format, different use cases for what you're to do. And you don't really have to build many, and maintain those pipelines in order to actually get your data working.
Um, okay. Vishal's. Okay,
Looks like my internet is having issues. Can you hear me?
you're back. You're
Yeah,
back.
well, sorry,
Uh,
my internet is having issues, so I don't know what just happened. Anyway, I was close to my end of demo. I just want to call that out, but sorry, my internet blipped for a second. But as it's like we with Quark Labs, we completely adapt with your pipeline. You do not have to build a pipeline for new extraction use cases, for new data model, for new business needs, and for where the data needs to land. All you have to provide the schema, and we'll take care of different system, different files, and actually connect the sources. So think about it tomorrow if you want to actually extract the schema with 10 entities, or if you want to actually extract the schemas with 100 entities and goes into Snowflake or Memgraph and other places. You just have to provide what you want to do, and then we actually have one or two pipelines. We automatically adapts with the need of source and the destination of what data model needs to come out. That is my demo. I know it was quick, but again, it's like it's very simple. 2 clicks to get the data pipeline running with the Quark Labs. Let me know if there are any questions. But my name is Vishal Singh, and you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, and also my email is vishal@quarklabs.ai.
Amazing. Let's wait maybe for a minute or two if there's any questions from the audience. So Vishal's LinkedIn is in the chat. Feel free to connect with him.
And I would love to hear from folks their use cases, and connect it to me even like if you folks provide more use cases into what you're actually how you're working with Memgraph, how you're thinking about the different data set, unstructured data set, what are the challenges you're having, even some in the brainstorming sessions for folks like who are on the call would be amazing.
So Charlie's asking, can you get the recording because he missed the demo? Yeah. So the recording will be on our well, through Crowdcast. You can watch it, but then as well on our YouTube, we will upload it the moment basically we finish. Cool. Well, if there's no questions, then let's leave it there. Vishal, thank you so much for the great demo. I was thinking how basically the whole thing was so fast because the UX kind of works. So then you don't have kind of glitches and everything. You make it simple. So yeah, we'll take it from here. Thank you once again, and everyone have a good rest of the day and the weekend ahead.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Marco.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you.